Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing today? Hope you're good. Hope you are well. Wow, there are a lot of you in here already. Wow. Let's just give it a minute for people to jump in. Adam, can you hear me okay, sir?
Yep, yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. How's my voice coming through?
Yeah, crystal clear. You sound great. I believe it's a public holiday for you over in Australia today. So thanks for joining us on what is officially a day off.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Happy to be here. This is my holiday.
It's great, and yeah, it's been something we've been doing these for a little while now, and people kind of like this format. We can get as many people in here as we want. There's no limitations. We've been breaking Discord with other channels and other ways of doing this. So just for anybody that is in here, this is being recorded. We will record this, and we'll have the recording available. Um, but this is not going out over social media. It is just a casual chat with me and Adam. But the whole purpose of this right now is to talk about multi-accounting. There's been a lot of conversations around this, and I thank you all for being patient. And I just kind of want to remind you all right now that this is beta. All right, even though it is a game that appears to be public that anyone can play, there was a temporary limit whilst we work on the development team work on the scaling and the botting and the growth and any of the challenges. So this is still in beta. So things will change, and there will be bugs. There will be problems. We will break things. We will fix things. And this is no different. This is a situation where we've listened to you and the things that you need, and we've looked at things from the team's perspective, from the community's perspective. We've made some decisions based on everything, all of the data that we have available, that we feel is the best moving forward. And that's why Adam's here today to kind of talk you through this. You'll be able to see in the announcements channel, we've made a post about this, and it is a quite complex subject, and there will be questions. And so the purpose of this now is to answer those questions so you don't feel the need to constantly keep asking those questions in the farmers chat, in the support tickets, on social media. Well, we want to try and protect the support system as best we can. So with that being said, Adam, we've posted about multi-accounting. Do you want to talk us through your thoughts on this from the core team and the development's point of view?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think when you're designing any sort of game, let alone a Web3 game, which has sort of open market economies, you have to be very cautious of the supply of resources. Especially in our case, whether it is the SFL token or the 50 other tokens that we have in this game, inflation can be a huge issue. And so if you have one person on 50 accounts, those tokens are just going to be increasing in supply. And when you start designing game features, it actually becomes quite tough. When you have this huge excess of resources already available on an open market, when someone even wants to come join the game, they're going to be tossing up, should I be grinding for a couple days actually playing the game, or should I just spend a couple bucks and get these resources on a secondary market? And so I think from a game design point of view, when you limit the amount of accounts and the output that a person can have, the economy as a whole is a lot more successful. And so that's firstly from the game design point of view. I think it makes gameplay a lot more engaging and ensures the long-term success of the game. And then there's the botting as well. And so right now, if it's one account, sorry, in the future, when it's one account per person, it is a lot easier to distinguish botting behavior. Doing things like tracking IP addresses, VPNs, even just blockchain activity. When you allow people to have multiple farms interacting, it's quite hard to get 100% certainty that someone is a bot. When you have this strict one account per person, the evidence becomes pretty much black and white, and our confidence in identifying bots is just dramatically improved. And so that's kind of the technical side of things, why we want to go this one account per person as well.
And I think that makes sense. And let's obviously discuss that if we can for a moment, because this is there's a lot that the community don't see that goes on behind the scenes, like an incredible amount of work that goes on behind the scenes. And I think this is that opportunity where we can discuss some of that. But obviously, this is a very sensitive subject around botting. We know that from version 1, it was the botting that kind of destroyed version 1, with the exploit kind of finishing things off. And I think there has to be this open communication where we can let the community know what's happening regarding this, but at the same time, not saying too much that we give away the kind of tactics and the tools and the resources being used, because we don't want to aid and help those who are trying to exploit the system. And so one of the things that we have to consider moving forward is that in version 1, we had no ability to tackle botting. There was nothing we could do to stop it. Whereas now we have this centralized element, and we have so many more data points that the team are able to not only react to the situation, but prevent, in some cases, the situation from ever occurring. And I think you've been doing an incredible job. Do you have an idea of kind of the numbers of accounts that have been caught successfully botting so far? I know we've had blacklists and it's been a hot topic. But do you have any figures around that, Adam, that you can share just on terms of the success of what you've been doing?
Yeah, sure. We've blacklisted permanently about 4,000 accounts, and the permanent bans are the ones where it is just black and white, like the evidence is very clear. The On top of that, that's a range of different anti-botting systems that we have there. We're in beta, and we're also experimenting weekly on different botting systems. Those are less accurate while we're testing them, and so that those are the ones that are 95 to 97% accurate. We've caught another couple thousand people doing that. I think we've also caught a couple innocent people doing that. Those that 3 to 4% that get caught up. Um, so yeah, it's going very good, and we still are fine tuning and adding extra layers here and there. And I think one of the best mechanisms I have seen is the community around this. There's a bunch of different channels where you can just see people, anything suspicious they see being shared on YouTube or the blockchain, it gets escalated, and the community is just sort of doing its own service of finding accounts. It's something I actually really want to gamify. I think there's a cool game aspect there when we've probably in the future we've got Team Human, Team Goblin, and Team Robots. And if you're out there and you can catch some robots playing the game, you can actually get incentivized or earn some items somehow.
And I think this is one of those areas where there's going to be a grey area that people are going to try and skirt around. And we'll hopefully talk about this and put clarity around it as well, because we know, especially when we look at the multi-accounting, we look at the botting situation, those that do get caught, the first thing they do is they come to us and say, but I was innocent, of course, I wasn't doing anything wrong. And so even when those innocent people do genuinely get caught up, the reason that sometimes there is a hesitancy to believe people, because we want to genuinely believe people, and most people are good, but we have to have that stance of, well, what if you're not? I mean, we even had one person in the general chat who took a screenshot with botting software, and his stance was, but I'm using that for a different game. I'm not using it. I'm not cheating in your game. I'm cheating in a different game. But I've been caught cheating in your game. But I obviously I wasn't. And so where do you draw that line? Where do you say, well, okay, we believe you because obviously we want to trust you, but kind of look, the facts are the facts, right? So I think it's important that people know that this is a work in progress. The systems are young and new, and they rely on data. And so the longer these systems are operational, the more data they will obtain, and the stronger and the more evolved they will become, and the better they will become. I think it's fair to say that. And so I love that you have this and that you're spending time on this. And I kind of really want to just reiterate to the community the reason why we have these delays in place with the SFL token launch, the reason why we put temporary limitations on the minting process is so that the team can deal with this botting issue. The botting issue didn't go away in version 2. It's not like there were bots in version 1 and we relaunched the game and now there are no bots. Of course, the same people that tried to exploit version 1 are trying to exploit version 2. But I hope that you can understand in what Adam and the team are doing is helping to stop them from destroying the community, the economy, and the game. And it's just a process that takes time. So, yeah, I know this is not ideal, the fact that you have to deal with this, and it's taken a lot of your time, but yeah, I want the community to understand that this is a process. And any delays that are happening at the moment in terms of being able to roll out additional gameplay, fixing other bugs with other challenges, it's the kind of botting issue that has to take precedence right now. Because if we open up minting for more farms, then the bots abuse that. It kind of puts us back on the back foot where we're trying to be reactionary to deal with those, as opposed to proactive, where we can say, look, we've stopped the bots from being able to do that in the first place. So how, on that note, Adam, and just on that topic, how confident are you with the ability to be able to stop bots from minting farms as we go forwards? And do you have any thoughts around the kind of timeline to see the minting process re-enabled?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I think you're never going to 100% win the bot battle. I think every project, especially blockchain project that we've spoken to, it's a game of cat and mouse that you engage with them all. And so I'm confident that we're going to keep building this system up and improving it. And I just know that the nature of the bot is that they're going to keep coming back and attempting to do it. There's definitely some extreme takes that we could do on this, like KYC and whatnot. Right now, we're not exploring those. It doesn't quite line up with what we're trying to do. But we've got new mechanisms coming in each week, and we're kind of keeping them on their toes. And so anyone that is trying to bot, they might think they're safe one week, and then the next week all the code is changed that's detecting them, and then they get flagged. And we've got a great team helping us. Like, we've got the 4 engineers full time with us right now, but we've got, I know, at least 6 white hackers that I'm talking with personally every day, who are just amazing, giving good tips and helping us out in the system. So it's in good hands.
Nice.
In terms of more positions becoming available, we're thinking over the next 2 or 3 days, we are going to enable it for anyone that had a V1 farm. So if you had tokens before the snapshot, any of the NFT tokens or SFF token, or you just had a farm, you will be able to mint a farm. And so we're estimating around 20,000 people come in that next load. And yeah, after that, we'll play it by ear and turn it on for more people as well. And we're still going to refine how the Discord verification works as well. I know there was some countries that got a bit caught up that could not actually pass the Discord verification. So we're looking at some mechanisms just to make it more accessible for more humans around the world to mint a farm.
Okay. So I think this is a really good point just to do 2 things. One, if we talk through the announcement so that people understand, because it is quite complex, and there has been different information. There's information that we now need to update on the white paper. There's information that we've been telling people with potentially having 5 farms and different things. So to get absolute clarity on that message, I think would be helpful. And the second is that I've posted in the farmers chat. You'll be able to see it. It's in the pinned message. So if you look at pinned messages, the last one, if you comment on my post, then I will use that as a thread and we can use that as the AMA to answer your questions. So any questions you have, please try not to keep repeating the same questions if they've already been asked, because that would just take a long time. But yeah, let's. Are you okay to do that, Adam? To go through the announcement and just give some clarity around this?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to take the lead, or do you want me to walk through it
I
step
don't
by
mind. I
step?
mean, people listen to me a lot. It's nice to hear your voice for a while. You've got that. You sound like a pilot. When I listen to you, I'm just like, yeah, everything's going to be okay. It's fine. We're good. When I say it, I'm a bit like, ah. But no, I think we're good. The community of they understand. The thing that I will say is that obviously when Adam talks, he has a much better understanding of things than me. When I communicate things to the community, I'm just relaying information from the team. I act as a buffer to give the team some space from the noise so that they can focus on the game. And I try to keep the community engaged and involved. But at the end of the day, it's the core team. It's Adam, it's Romy, it's Spencer. Those are the people who have the final say and make the decisions. I'm just relaying the information. So with that being said, if you can just clarify, I'll go through the announcement, and if you can clarify anything, and we'll do it in stages because, again, there's a lot to unpack here. So starting off, 1 account per person. That's it. That's the rule. Previously, we said more. We said possibly 5. We said possibly multiple accounts. But just from this moment forward, the rule is 1 account per person, which shouldn't actually be a problem right now because we said in beta 1 account per person. So nothing changes. You should only, if you've got an account, that is your account. You don't get to mint another account. Your account is your main account, and that is it. And so 0 multi-accounting. What does that mean? Well, if you've got a family, obviously we don't want to stop, brothers, sisters, wives, husbands, pets, realistically. We don't want to stop them being able to play the game. So people that are in the same IP address can play the game. You and your partner or your children, your friends, you should be able to play the game at the same time. And I think that when we say that, we understand that people will try to abuse that, because that happens where people say, oh, but my 24, brothers and sisters are playing the account with me at the same time, but we only have 1 device. Like, you have to be realistic. We can talk about this lightheartedly, but from a serious point of view, yes, a family is a considerate number of people, yeah, but please use your fair judgment. I mean, there are loose rules around this. We're not going to say it's exactly 4 people in the same IP address because different people have different size families. But if it looks like you're abusing the rules, or if it looks like you're abusing the system, then you may be flagged for verification and a manual review may happen. So just please be aware of that. Okay, but families can play on the same IP address, and a family can also play on the same device. Now, let me clarify this. What I mean by the same device is that if, let's just say you have 1 computer in your household, then it might be that several people have different user accounts on that computer. It doesn't mean that everyone shares the same phone. It doesn't mean that everyone shares the same device in that sense, but it means that you can play 1 account at a time. So you'll use your account, and then maybe your partner or your children will log into their account with their username, because they'll have their own Discord and they'll have their own MetaMask wallet. But what we do want to be aware of, and we want you to be aware of, is that if you have multiple people on the same machine, you will be more likely to be flagged for verification because it will be similar to what people who bot do. So verification does not mean you've been blacklisted. It just means that you're going through a review process. And do you want to add anything to that, Adam? Is there anything you kind of want to cover there before we move on with that?
No, I think that's good. There is, I guess there is one more point there around the actual gameplay as well. And so people were previously wondering, okay, get my farm to level 5 or level 6 in the crops. How do I expand my farm further and further? And so previously, multi-accounting was a solution people came up with when they wanted to farm more because they wanted to play the game more, they wanted to gather more resources. In the new design that's coming up, which is land expansion, you're not going to need multiple farms to succeed to get all the resources you want. You're just going to continually keep growing your farm piece by piece. And so I guess that's one of the whys behind this as well, is that realistically, you don't need these multiple farms to get the resources you want. If you want to grow and invest on your single farm, you can make the empire as big as you want it to be. So excited about that, but just thought I'd add that in there, a bit of the clarification why this makes sense for the project.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and thank you for that. And yeah, that's a really good point. Is that we have to look at the reason why people do things. You know, we always talk about UI versus UX. You can design a path, but people always take the path of least resistance, which is why we have shortcuts. It's why when you go to the park, there's that bit of path that's got the mud, you know, because people have cut the corner. People will always take the path of least resistance. And so multi-accounting was that path of least resistance to be able to scale. And as Adam says, you're not going to need that moving forward. But let me just clarify here. Any attempt to use scripts, bots, automation, anything to cheat the game. If you try to cheat the economy or you try to cheat the community, then that is going to be a breach in the terms and conditions. Okay, a bot is not a family member. Okay, I just want that to become a thing that we know. A bot is not a family member. Okay, so just please use your common sense. I mean, for most, if you're here and you're listening to this, I've said this before, and we say it in a light-hearted way, you've got a higher IQ than most of the general farmers chat because you've located the voice channel. All right, we know, and we say this jokingly, that the farmers chat, sometimes people, they say and they do things in there, and it can be frustrating. But what we also really need to be aware of, and I'm going to ask you as a community, I'm going to ask you to please consider this. New people are going to be joining this game at an incredible rate. And so you may have said something 1,000 times, but you need to assume that the person you're speaking to, that next time, is brand new. This may be their first experience in our community, and we really want to welcome them. So whilst I appreciate it can be frustrating to repeat yourself, please don't get frustrated. If you feel like you're getting to that stage, just walk away. You don't have to answer. Someone will be there to do that. And we have an incredible team of moderators, international moderators, ambassadors, and that team is growing. But I really want you to understand that, you know, there will be people that continually ask these questions, and we just have to treat everyone like they're new and it's their first experience, and we want to welcome them. So just, if you do see someone, they're asking questions, just guide them towards the support. We've got the knowledge base. We've got the support tickets now. We're looking at potentially having in-game support, and maybe we can touch on that a bit later. But there's things that are being built to make this process easier. So just to move on to the next stage and to talk about this part now. So people can own multiple farms. Okay, this is where we need to be very clear. People can own multiple farms because you can mint one farm through the game interface for one Matic, but you can purchase additional farms from OpenSea or other third-party marketplaces. So there's nothing to stop you owning multiple farms, but you can only mint and use one farm. And Adam, I think this would be really good to kind of get your perspective on this as well. You articulate this in a very good way. This is, I think, where that grey area is, and people will try to abuse. Oh, but I didn't know the rules, or I didn't know anything, or I thought this was okay. How do we, with absolute clarity, explain this to people that we don't want to stop them? This is decentralized, and we want people to own their assets and to do what they want with them. But at the same time, we want people to understand that it's one mint, one farm in game, and any additional farms that you own can't be used in the game. How do you want to articulate that to the listeners?
Yeah, I think it's a good point because people, whether they know it or not, they will invest on farms on OpenSea. Some people might not even check out the website for the game, and so in that case, they are allowed to own multiple of those farms. But if we detect that they're making progress on multiple farms, so they're going in and planting at the same time or trying to play the game on both of these, that will get flagged. I think it's fine if you do have multiple farms and you're just going in to check out what resources were in there. That sort of stuff won't get flagged. But as soon as you start making progress, you could get picked up by the system.
So there we go. So you can own multiple farms. I mean, look, let's just say this, guys, that the safest way that you can do this is have one farm in one wallet as your main farm. Okay, that's fine. Don't run the risk and don't mess about with getting blacklisted. It's not worth it. If you want to do a flip or you want to try and do some arbitrage or you want to do anything else, we can't advise you on that. In fact, we actually advise you not to do that just to be safe. But if you want, like, we fully appreciate and understand you're just a bunch of degens. You're not going to listen to us. You're going to do it anyway. And so if you're going to do it, we'd much rather make it safe for you and protect you than just turning our back and ignoring it. So we're aware it happens. We just want to make sure you're protected because there are a lot of scammers. There's a lot of challenges. I've witnessed people this week spending $250 buying an already blacklisted farm. They can't use that farm. That farm is not going to be. And I can see that some people are buying blacklisted farms and then coming to support and saying, hey, there's a mistake, can you unblacklist me? That's not going to happen. If you buy a blacklisted farm, you've wasted your money. And so I really, really want to reiterate this point. We want to protect you. But at the end of the day, you've got to protect yourself as well. So the simple and easy answer here is just don't do it. But if you're going to do it, then only progress and only use one farm. You can log in, you can look at other farms, but as soon as you start making progress in other farms, you will get flagged. And you run the risk of being blacklisted, and I don't want that to happen to you. So for most people, this isn't a problem, by the way. For most people, this won't even be a concern. But if you're skirting around that grey area, I want you to be aware that it's a risk, and it's a risk that we just do not recommend you take. So, is there anything you want to add on that, Adam? Anything you want to mention there? Because I know this is I'm trying to give absolute clarity to people so there's no confusion.
No, I think you covered that quite well.
Cool. Okay. All right, guys. So just to be safe, just don't do it. There's better ways that you can profit in this game if you want to. Just don't do what the bots are doing. Okay, it's just better to stay away. Okay, so when we talk about multi-accounting, it's not just about playing on multiple farms. Okay, it's also about multiple Discords, multiple MetaMasks. Just none of that is allowed. Like we've had some people this week who have been logging into Discord with multiple accounts. I mean, most people just have one Discord account. Most people, it's not a problem. If you start using multiple Discord accounts to log in, it's going to be flagged because it's suspicious. And so just want you to be aware that if you're using multiple wallets, if you're using multiple Discords for whatever reason, just be aware you might get flagged for additional verification. So again, just better just not to do it. Just if you want our official advice, one MetaMask wallet, one Discord, one account. That's the safest way to play this game. All right, if you do that and you're not using bots and you're not using automations or scripts or anything that you shouldn't, then you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. So that's the safest way to play the game. Okay, so moving on from that, and we'll come back and I'll answer all of the questions in a minute. I know I can see thousands of questions. Let's just get through this, and then we'll go back and we'll do the AMA. So moving on, next point, the migration. Okay, we want to get this wrapped up. We want to get this to a point where we can draw a line in the farm. I would say sand, but we want to draw a line in the farm and say, look, we're going to close this. It's done. There's no more of this talk about multi-accounting, and we can move forward. Because right now, there's quite a big security risk, and there's a challenge whilst we have this process open. So we want to get it closed. We want to get everything migrated, and we want that to be done. We want to officially declare SFF dead, or not dead, but in the past, and we want to move forward and look forward with SFL. So, how do we do that? Users from version 1 who had multiple farms, you will have from Wednesday, so in 2 days' time, you will have 1 full week. Okay, so effectively, that's 9 days from today. Okay, consider this the advanced warning. Okay, that on Wednesday, Adam and the team will look to deploy the migration tools so that you will be able to merge and migrate your farms from version 1 into your main account in version 2. Okay, so that is looking to start from Wednesday. So what does that look like? Well, Adam will talk about that in just a second. Let me just go through what will happen. So you will mint, I believe, and Adam will clarify this, you'll mint a farm, you will transfer your resources, and what will happen is if your farm in the old version had levels within it, so you was not level 1, if you was a level 2 farm, then you will get the equivalent of 0.5 SFF. Okay, that will be transferred into SFL. If you had a level 3 farm, you will get 5 SFF transferred into SFL. If you had a level 4 farm, you will get 25 SFF transferred into SFL. And if you had the level 5 farm, which was the max level farm, you will get an NFT, which will be the Sunflower Tombstone. Okay, so that is what will happen for the building levels of your farm from version 1. All NFTs that you owned, plus all resources that you owned, and all SFL that you owned in the account, all SFF that you owned in the account will be migrated as long as it was covered in the original snapshot. The exact same process that we had when we migrated from version 1 to version 2, when you minted your farm and it snapshotted your farm, that same process will be used for your multiple accounts. Meaning if you went and bought a farm and topped it up after the snapshot, that will not work in this migration. So if you get to the point where you're like, I can't migrate, it doesn't work, it's because you was not in that snapshot. So all resources, all NFTs, all SFL, plus what I just mentioned based on your farm level that was within the snapshot can be migrated into your main farm in version 2. And so, Adam, do you want to clarify or add to that how that process will work, or do you want to do that in a couple of days? How do you want to explain this process of migration to people?
Yeah, we'll add it to the docs. It'll be through the UI. You go into your settings, there's an airdrop button, and so at that point there, say I'm on my farm number 1, I would then need to change my MetaMask account to one of the secondary farms that I had from Sunflower Farmers, And then I would just need to do a sign of a transaction that would prove that this is actually my account and I want to send these assets to farm one. The idea there is that someone can't try and attempt to take my assets from that version. You actually need to verify that account. So there'll be a little UI that will walk you through how to do all this. I thought I'd clarify, if you already have a farm minted, you don't need to mint another farm. You will just go through the settings, input your farm address, and have to verify that account. And those resources will get sent directly to your farm. If you didn't manage to create a farm in the first 100,000 farms, you will need to mint your farm, your first farm. And then if you had other farms that you wanted to migrate, you would go through the settings, enter those addresses, and verify those accounts. And yeah, with the SFF that you see for each of those levels, that is pretty much comparable to what the kitchen costs for each of the upgrades are. So the pumpkin soup, the sauerkraut, the roasted cauliflower, plus a bit of extra SFF as well to cover some of the crop costs. And so that's where those numbers come from there. If you had a level 2 farm from Sunflower Farmers, we give you back the resources that is the equivalent of that level upgrade.
Perfect. So what people will expect to see is the resources within their shop equivalent to the level of the upgrade that they had. Is that correct?
Yes.
And and also they'll have that, I'm assuming that part of the farm will be opened. Because I know that in version 2, anyone that starts new, obviously goblins have taken over their farm. But for those that had like a level 5 farm in version 1, the goblins had already been taken care of, so to speak, in that initial part of the game. So can people who are migrating across that are minting a new farm, that will be the same process. If they're a level 5, their farm will be open, they can continue. But if they already
Exactly.
have their main farm, their additional farms, obviously that process would already have happened. They would already have unlocked their farm, so it would just show up as additional resources within their shop.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Awesome. So, with that being said, there's been a lot of question about limits. Some people have been like, oh, I had 5 farms, I had 50 farms, I had 1,000 farms. I think you said earlier, and just to clarify on this, there is no limit to the amount of farms you had. If you had 50 farms in version 1, you can migrate 50 farms in version 2. I think some people may just think, oh, this is too much hassle, there's not enough resources, I can't be bothered to do it. So I guess that's on people, right? People can choose. But if you had multiple farms, we're not going to penalize you if you want to migrate them into version 2. But there is a time frame. You will have 1 week to do this. And then we will close the doors and the migration process will be taken offline for security reasons and also to allow us to move forward with the future of this game. So this is a 1 week window to be able to migrate your farms. Is there anything you wanted to add there, Adam? Anything you wanted to mention regarding that, or do you feel like we've covered it?
I think one little bit to add as well, there's one restriction that if you were identified as one of the botters from V1, which there were all these smart contract bots, you will not be able to migrate those farms. So there was 20 to 30,000 of those smart contracted botters. They won't be included or supported in this migration.
Good, because I think I stand on behalf of everyone in the community when I say that the bots can get wrecked. I think we're just done with this whole situation. It's frustrating that we're slowing down progress to deal with this, and the whole purpose of doing this is obviously because of the bots. So good. Any botters that have donated Matic to this project, then we're grateful for you. But you will not be joining us in this onward journey. We thank you for your time with us. You can depart and find another project to bother from here on out. We don't want you here. So yeah, bots, goodbye. That feels nice to say. So, okay. You'll have to sign a contract. You'll do it through the in-game interface. You'll be able to migrate your farms. You'll have a week to do it. I think we've covered everything. And also, if you don't yet have a farm, you will be able to migrate one. But so just to clarify on that point, finally, that doesn't mean that we're going to open up minting. Is that correct? This is only for people that have an existing farm. They will be able to migrate that if they don't yet have one. They'll be able to mint. But we're not opening minting for the general public. Is that correct?
Not for the general public. You will be able to mint a farm if you had assets from SFF. So if
Okay.
you don't already have a farm, you will be able to mint a farm.
Okay, so this is not for new people. This is just for existing people that don't have a farm. If you
Yeah.
already have a farm, don't mint another farm. Well, one, you can't, but two, you're going to get flagged up. So you want to do everything possible to not get flagged up. Okay, that's the goal here. And actually, if we can just briefly talk about that, because that's another good point, and I think it's powerful to add that in here. The verification process. This is a work in progress. It's beta. Things are going to change. But to please understand right now, this is not the final version of what this will look like. It's just for now. If your farm is grey, it is in verification. This means that it is under review because it could potentially be seen as an account that is doing things that are similar to what the bots were doing or are doing. So there's 3 different states that your farm can be in, and this is typically shown in OpenSea. You will also get a notification in game, and sometimes there might be some disparity between what you see in OpenSea. There might be some lag between what you see in OpenSea and what you see in game. But the idea is that if your farm is colourful and it looks vibrant on OpenSea and you do not have any notifications in game, then you're good. Congratulations, you're a decent human being. Carry on. Nothing else to do here. If your farm is grey, grey does not mean it is blacklisted. It means it is being verified. And if it is run down and it has the big X through it and it says blacklisted on OpenSea, and you have an alert in game that says goblins detected, or not even goblins detected, because goblins is the verified. If it says you've been blacklisted, then obviously you've been blacklisted. So Adam, can you just clarify on the middle stage here? We understand the active farm, we understand the blacklisted farm. Can you add some additional clarification on the verification process? Like, does that mean that we suspect people are botting? Does it mean that we're just doing some due diligence? Like, what does it mean if someone's farm is grey? And can they go from being active back to verified or back to verification?
Yeah, so with the verified right now, when your account is created, it automatically goes into verification, sorry, unverified state, so the black and white one for 30 days. And so it doesn't necessarily mean you've been picked up for botting behavior. We just display that on OpenSea as a buy and beware for anyone looking at your farm. And the reason being is that by the end of the 30 days, we have a pretty solid idea whether you were a bot or not, based on a bunch of different factors. And so right now it's just black and white, just to ensure that people don't accidentally buy a farm which could be blacklisted. It doesn't mean you've been picked up for any botting detection.
Okay,
I
so
think
yeah, sorry.
one thing I just saw in the chat previously as well is whether the NFTs and SFL will be additive. So if you already have 5 fields unlocked and you migrate an old farm that had those fields, you will get that SFL and that Tombstone NFT added on. So each one that you bring in is going to be additive on top of what you already have inside of your farm.
And so there's going to be some people here that go, but that's not fair. I've only just started all of these whales. Now, let me just say that there's nothing to stop people, as of the 9th of May, going and buying SFL. Okay, there's nothing to stop people spending money if they want to on OpenSea right now to buy assets and resources. So you need to be thinking more about your own game and less about other people's games. I know that there is a very there's a lot of FOMO and there's a lot of anxiety around people when they think, "Oh, I'm not going to have a chance to mint that NFT," and there's a lot of fear around that. That comes down to people that want to make money. And I just really want to reiterate the point in this game that it's a game first. Any profitability, any earning mechanics, any owning mechanics is really the secondary aspect to this game. If you can make some profit, then great. But that is not the driving force of this game. We're not creating a job where you're going to earn a wage. We're creating a game where you own your assets. And if in the future you decide to sell those assets on a speculative market, you could potentially make some profit. You might not. That's the risk you take. But I don't want people to have that expectation. If you buy something, you're guaranteed to make a profit, because that is not how the real world works. And this is simulating a real world economy. And so, some things you'll buy will go up in value. Some things you buy will go down in value. And so just please be aware and be careful with that. This is, you need to manage your expectations accordingly. I think that we've seen incredible. I mean, it is incredible what we've seen in the last 10 days. It's amazing and scary at the same time. I mean, we've told people, hey, don't trade, wait. And the community said, no, we're going to trade. I mean, to the point that we've now traded over $1 million on OpenSea. I mean, that's just phenomenal. And it's amazing. But at the same time, just want you to be careful. I want you to be aware. There's some limitations in OpenSea and there's some challenges. And there's a lot of hyperinflation. There's a lot of FOMO. There's a lot of, crazy things happening at the moment. So just please be aware. Just be aware. Just take a moment, take a breath, and just, you don't need to go and pay $250 for a farm on OpenSea. You will be able to mint one for one Matic on the website. And if you can't do it right now, you will be able to do it soon. You might miss out on a couple of NFTs, and that's okay. There's going to be thousands of NFTs for you to play with. This is just the initial launch of the beta. Okay, so don't worry if you miss out in these early stages. You're still very early. Okay, so I just kind of want to reiterate that point. But is there anything you want? I was hoping we could just migrate into an AMA now and answer some questions in the chat. But is there anything you want to add, Adam, to what we've talked about so far?
No, I think that's it. We'll be adding a lot of this to the light paper, the docs. There'll be walkthroughs, how to migrate. There'll be more details there that you can follow up and see.
Perfect. And there will be as well a video series coming soon to the YouTube channel where we will talk through and you'll be able to see walkthroughs of every aspect of the game. So that will be coming as well. So yes, definitely a lot more training and a lot more information to help you to understand the game better. All right, so I'm aware we've been going for about 50 minutes. How are you for time, Adam? I just want to check in with that.
I'm good, Matt. I can keep going for about 15, 20 minutes more.
All right, so we're going to go into kind of a quick fire. If I just ask the questions, do you want to answer them?
Let's do it. Fire round.
All right, let's do this. So, all right. Would my SFF on the secondary account be transferred even if the secondary account was just a storage account that had no farm minted?
Yes.
Okay, good. As long as it was in the snapshot. Has to be within the snapshot.
Before Jan 10th, it should be good.
Perfect. Okay.
It would be good.
Anyone can do 5 accounts or more and playing on it on the same device, but not the same time. And say it was my... Okay, I understand this question. People are going to say that it's their family when it's not. How do we deal with that?
There'll be Discord verification along the way, and as soon as something doesn't match up, you know what, Steve? It's kind of funny. The best security you can do is not telling people what your botting solution is.
Yep.
I guess all we can say right now is that we'll have mechanisms in place.
And so that's it. We have processes in place, and you just need to trust us. And yeah, the thing is, sometimes the best security is not telling people your security, because you're giving the you're giving the roadmap on what people could do to avoid it. So yeah, there we go. Um, if we planted something before the snapshot on version 1, will we receive the crops in version 2?
Yes.
Yes, they will be harvested and they will be in your shop.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any? I'm sorry, I'm trying to read these quickly, so I'm just trying to vet them as I read them. Is there any plans to help reduce the fear people have when their farm goes grey? Although if innocent, people should just play normally, but it seems that some people aren't getting it and they're feeling worried. Is there anything that can be done to help people? Or I suppose we're doing that now by talking to you, but we can update the docs. We can make that a lot clearer. But yeah,
Yeah. In these cases, we can update the docs and we can update a message on OpenSea. But ideally, unless you're wanting to sell your farm, you wouldn't be jumping on OpenSea and checking it out anyway. And so I think we can do a bit of language around there just to make it clear what is going in there. Maybe just call it a baby farm instead, and you can't. It's a risky purchase, something like
yeah,
that.
and I think as well, look, the people that are really worried about the colour of their farm are the ones that are trying to flip them quickly for profit. Because that's ultimately what they're worried about, right? How do other people perceive my farm? If it's not coloured, then I can't sell it. If you're going to buy a farm or mint a farm, then just consider for the first 30 days, you're not going to want to sell it. You know, when you get into some of these staking contracts and you get into some of these other platforms, they have lockup periods. Look at Axie with SFL. You can't withdraw it for 14 days. So just consider, if you're going to get a farm, you're going to have that farm for at least a month. I mean, if you're going to buy a farm, you should be playing the game anyway and not looking to flip in that instance. So, yeah, I think that makes sense. And D, I've seen your question, and some people have given you the thumbs up for that question, but that comes back to what Adam just said. How will you differentiate between the people that have actual families or just multi-accounting? There are processes in place. And right now we're just saying just trust the system, because we don't want to talk about that, because we don't want to give that information away. Do you have any news about the version 1 liquidity providers? I put a ticket in for this, but I couldn't get it answered. If we had liquidity in version 1 and we held it, where do we stand?
We ran scripts that if you were in the quick swap providing liquidity, that was converted for the SFF at the time, and that is applied to your account. And so people who already have minted farms, they got the SFF that was in that liquidity pool. If you were engaging in some other LP that wasn't supported, such as a centralized exchange, that is out of our control. We cannot return that SFF.
Okay.
It's not even ours. The exchange has it in those cases.
Okay. So if you were using the official QuickSwap, which was what was recommended from version 1, then if you've minted your farm already, you will have your SFL. It would have automatically been converted. If you have not yet minted your farm, then when you do, it will be added to your farm. But only if you were using the QuickSwap liquidity that was provided.
Yeah, and there's quite a few cases. People had liquidity and then they pulled it out early January, and they're wondering if they get the SFF they had and plus the liquidity. It doesn't quite work like that. If you pulled out your liquidity before the snapshot was taken, you already had that SFF balance. If you kept it in there when the snapshot was taken, you will then get the equivalent amount in SFF.
Perfect. Yep, that makes sense. Okay, good question here from Always Plays. Can I migrate a version 2 farm into another version 2 farm? I mean, I can answer that no, because right now you can only have one version 2 farm. So why would you be migrating another one? This is only the migration from version 1 to version 2. Do you want to add anything there? I think I just covered that one, but
yeah, I think we've always had that stance that it is one farm during beta per person. I don't think we've always been super strict with that approach. So we haven't been calling people out directly and just banning people for having two farms during beta. And so if people did try to skew the rules and thought they could get away with it and do have two farms right now, you will just have to withdraw the assets from your farm and transfer it to your other farm just through the normal withdraw and OpenSea transfer process. In regards to if you had level upgrades or skills on those farms, they'll be lost.
Perfect.
Not lost, but they'll just retain on that farm.
Yeah, and that's fair enough because you've not played by the rules, so you should not benefit from that. Okay, I will ask this question because a lot of people are asking about it. But I'm going to try and keep these questions related to what we're talking about with this topic. But I will ask this one because a lot of people have been talking about it. What's going to happen with the carrots that were minted by the carrot cartel? The fucking carrot cartel. I do love the concept that people have come up with, but I know that a lot of those accounts were blacklisted. But yeah, this has been one that's been asked a lot, and I suppose it's a difficult one to deal with. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, those will be locked on those farms. And so there'll be a museum. You can go and visit those farms and see the carrots that were stored up there, but no one will be able to withdraw or touch those carrots.
Okay, so you're welcome to go and visit the Carrot Cartel Museum, but their bank will not work. Okay, perfect.
That's it.
All right. Is it possible? Is there a possible in-game transfer of assets later on, like a gifting process?
Definitely. Yeah. Our first approach was just leverage existing protocols and services out there. It is a little bit clunky when you withdraw and go to OpenSea to then transfer. But from our point of view, when we let other services handle that, it just means that we can focus on gameplay features instead.
Perfect. I'll ask this one as well, as it's a hot topic at the moment. What is the latest on the level 5 skill bug? How is the troubleshooting progress? Are we close to a fix?
It's fixed, and that's going out tomorrow morning with a few crafting surprises as well.
Ooh, so a few crafting surprises tomorrow, as well as tier 2 items, which are going out tomorrow around 12 o'clock UTC. And the skill bug will be fixed as well. I think some people were concerned about the level 5 skill bug because they thought they were going to need it in order to craft their tier 2 items. I think that's why there's been a concern, because on the white paper it did mention, I believe, for the beaver you would need the woodcutter apprentice, I think, or the...
Yeah, that was just a mistake. Initially, during our closed beta, we had designed it as you needed skills, but based on the community feedback, we removed that, but forgot to update the docs.
Okay, so the white paper will get updated, but for now, there is no requirement other than the resources required to mint. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. So why are the materials stated to craft NFTs inside the game different to the website and the white paper? Again, it just needs updating, and we will work to get that updated. We'll do our best to get that updated this week. Obviously, there's a small team doing a lot of things at the moment, and the priorities have been to ensure that the community is safe, the bots are dealt with, we can enable... we don't want to limit minting. We do not want to put a cap on minting. We have to protect the community from the bots. We're very aware of the hyperinflation going on with the cost of farms on OpenSea right now, and we don't like that. We don't want a high cost to entry. The cost to entry is always designed to be low to allow people to enter. And so we're aware that the longer that people can't mint, the higher the price of farms on OpenSea, and we don't want people to be paying $200-300 for a farm. That was never the intention of that. So yeah, just understand, please, that in beta there will be problems, there will be bugs, and the priorities that the team deem important are dealing with the things that need to be done to resolve these other issues. And you'll start to see a lot of these issues will all start to fall away at the same time with updates that will come out. One family can play on one device. What is this? It's what it says, Tamim, One family can play on one device in the sense that If you have a piece, what you have to understand is that not everybody is blessed or fortunate enough to have multiple devices and multiple computers in the same household. And we don't want to we don't want to discriminate against people based on their financial situation. So if people are sharing a computer in a household, everyone should still be able to enjoy the game, just not at the same time. So what we mean by that is just be respectful and be responsible. It's not an open invitation to try and cheat. It's us saying that if we limit one device to one game, then we're stopping people enjoying the game from a family perspective. Like, let's imagine you have you and your partner, you both want to play the game. You know, maybe you want to play it and your partner wants to play it, but you've only got one computer. Well, you should be able to both play it on separate accounts, but just not at the same time. And again, if you have one or two accounts, we're not going to focus on you because we're not, oh, you've got two accounts, you must be cheating. We're talking about people that are trying to mint thousands of accounts or hundreds of accounts. You know, if you've got 5 or more accounts, you're much, much more likely to be targeted for verification than if you've just got 1 or 2 accounts. That does not mean that you should go and create 1 or 2 accounts because, again, if you're doing it and you're picked up, it's not worth the risk. There are systems in place behind the scenes, very, very complex and clever systems. So this is not an open invitation to do it, but we also want to be respectful and we don't want to be discriminating against people. Do you want to add anything there, Adam? I think I covered it, but I just kind of want to drive that point home to people.
Yeah, it's something we're pretty passionate about, and that's the whole reason we're building this project is we've got some pretty strong ideals of how crypto gaming could be, and at times it does make the project challenging, but we're just not going to change our ideals just because we think it can do a quick fix for a situation. We got to sort of stay true with what we're trying to build here.
Which is a community-based game that is decentralized. Ultimately, that's the open source nature of this project. Built by the community for the community. It's become our motto. And it's incredible. It's incredible what's happened. And I want to take a moment and just say that to everyone, to you, to Spencer, to Romy, to the moderators, to the team, to Roulette, to Chicken, to everyone that's been involved in helping this project, from the developers to the designers to the advisors. It's been absolutely incredible to witness the rise of this this project, and I thank you on behalf of myself and everyone. I know everyone feels the same, that you could have quite easily walked away from this when it suffered its challenges, but you got your head down, you rebuilt, and now the fun begins. Now we get to enjoy the game for what it's meant to be, and yeah. On behalf of everyone, I just want to say thanks, Adam, for just being you, really, and having the integrity and the compassion and the loyalty that you've got. It's appreciated.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, man. Very grateful for all the help you've done for the project as well.
Yeah, I try to keep people entertained. Would you implement a scholarship program in the future? I personally don't think so, because to me a scholarship program is a leasing system, and I think the barrier to entry is so low that you don't need it. But guilds in the future is definitely a possibility. Adam, do you wanna touch on that?
I think that's what your area of expertise. I think it's not sure if it's needed with such a low
Mm.
cost barrier to entry.
Yeah, yeah. We'll look into it. We'll do some research and we'll talk about it later down the line. But I mean, obviously, you know, with land that's been expanded with all of these additional NFTs, I mean, there could be a rental system there, but it's not planned initially. You know, the cost of barriers so entry. I mean, you can look at what Bryson did recently on his stream. You know, he went and bought several farms and he's been giving them away on his stream to people. So there's ways that you can look after scholars or members or people without the need for them to pay the one matic fee. But ultimately, I don't think there's a way that you need to be profiting on a leasing system for this game. It doesn't feel like it's that sort of a game. Okay. Okay, if I read the announcement correctly, those who purchase the land from OpenSea cannot play the game. That's not correct. If you purchase a land from OpenSea and you do not currently have a land, as long as that land is not blacklisted, you can play the game. If that land is verifying, you will not be able to use the bank. And also, sorry, Adam, that's a really good point. So if the farm is verifying, if it is black and white, does that mean that the withdraw function is disabled?
No, you can, if a farm's just unverified, you can play it normally just as anyone else.
Okay, so an unverified farm can be played the same as anybody else. Okay, so when is the bank restricted? Just for clarification. Because I know
If
before
you,
what happened is the access to the game was stopped, and that was a bit harsh, and so you changed that to just the bank building being affected. When does that happen, and what does that look like?
so that happens, as we said, we fine tune different botting mechanisms each week. And there is a small chance that someone might accidentally get picked up and we manually review those blacklists. As soon as you get soft banned, which could be identified as a bot, you will go into a investigating period where you can't withdraw resources from your game. You can still farm, you can still sync on chain, you can still make progress, but you can't withdraw until we've investigated that account. If it does turn out that you are botting, then you'll be permanently blacklisted and you can't play any of the game.
There you go. There you go. Another question. I use a VPN. Will I be able to play the game?
Yes, you will. A lot of our users are from countries that do need to use VPNs, and so we're all about supporting everyone, and using a VPN falls under that. Unfortunately, because a lot of bots do use VPNs as well, and it does make it tricky.
Okay, so you can use VPNs, but as long as you use one account. Okay, using VPNs if you're a good person is fine. Using VPNs if you're a bot is bad. Variable when. How are we doing with the verification on OpenSea, and how are we doing with Rarible? Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, so OpenSea only lets you verify once you reach the 100 ETH mark. And so for the collectibles, that was about 4 days ago, and the farms a few days ago as well. Um, it can take up to a week for that to come in. Hopefully, that will reduce those scam projects that pop up there. If you do see an invalid project on OpenSea, please go in, report it, and link to ours as a real collection. With Rarible, we've actually been chatting with them for 2 months. Um, they have just launched Polygon beta in their system, and so there's still a few kinks that they are sorting out. And we're just finalizing the collection with them. I think some people have seen there's a few decimal point issues that just need to get tidied up then. Um, I can't give an exact date on that. They are doing what's called a Polygon takeover of Rarible, and they're actually going to feature our project in there. And so I guess that's when we'll know when all that is fixed is once they launch that Polygon takeover. We'll be live and good to trade on Rarible.
Perfect. So we'll update you in the community with more dates as and when we know. When merch? Some people want some a carrot sword briefs. that will be coming in the future. Right now, it's not. We're talking about it, and we're looking at merchandise, and we'll disclose more of that later. But for now, I don't want to dilute the content too much, and let's try and stay on topic with this one. I want to deal with this issue first. Let's get this out the way. We've got the token and the economy release coming up. We've got the multi-accounting things to deal with. Let's do all of this first, and once all of this is done and dusted, then we can look at all of the fun stuff moving forward. Will there be a maximum number of farms that you can convert to a main farm? It's unlimited as long as they were within the snapshot. You're okay. Why don't you go for two accounts per person? Like one account for farming and the second one for crafting. That would be very nice and helpful. Like a maximum of two. Well, I mean, from my point of view, Adam's already discussed this. It makes it very difficult to target bots when people have multiple accounts because there's too many variations in the process. So one account just makes it a lot easier to target bots. But do you want to add anything to that? Someone that's asked for two accounts instead of one.
I think that's it. The gameplay is going to encourage people building up an empire on one farm, and you're going to get a lot of buffs and improvements. And so the only people that would benefit from having more than one account would be people trying to bot the game. And so that's kind of our approach to the issue.
Perfect. The next one I see is there going to be any fee to migrate?
No fee at all. That will be gasless. You will need to, once you've done your migrations, you will need to sync on chain. And so included in that date, which is May 4th, May 5th, I think we've got that. You need to go through that migration process, then you need to sync on chain. If you don't move your assets onto the blockchain, you will miss out on that period.
Right. And we will obviously make sure that you're aware of that. We'll communicate that often and clearly. But yes, you'll need to claim your assets and you'll need to sync your assets at least once. So expect at least one syncing transaction. And if you're, efficient, then you'll be able to time that with a crop restock or, something like that. But yes, one sync. My family and I played a game, but in different time frames, in which one family member is responsible to handle all the farms. They're all in one wallet. Is it allowed? Let me know how to answer this one. My family played a game, but in different time zones, which is one family member is responsible to handle all the farms. They're all in one wallet. Is it allowed? I think multiple people can play the same farm at different times. I think that's okay, right? So if I wanted to play the farm for 12 hours and then, my partner wanted to play for the 12 hours that I was sleeping, technically the farm could be running 24 hours. I think that's different to having multiple farms.
Yes, that's all right.
Yeah. So multiple people can use the same farm as long as it's, you can only use one at a time. So yeah, that's fine. So different people can use the same farm, but the same person can't use different farms. You already minted two farms, yes. So you'll have one farm and then you'll migrate your assets from one to the other. I want to know about the golden cauliflower. Okay. Do you have a tentative release? Do you have a release for the golden cauliflower, or is that still to be determined?
Most items, those really powerful ones, they will be coinciding with the May 9th launch. There will be obviously a few surprises over the next couple of weeks before that date that we will release. We've actually got an open GitHub proposal that is discussing when and how we release these rare items, because it's quite touchy. A lot of people will be going for them who's going to get there, but we can't publicly announce that date at the moment.
Okay. So at the moment we are looking at tomorrow tier 2 items, which is going to be the tier 2 scarecrow and the tier 2 beaver. Is there another item that's included in that? Was the chicken coop, I believe? Or no, the chicken coop is not now, is it? We're waiting for chickens before that's released.
Yes.
So
yeah, it's just those two items tomorrow.
Just those two items. Okay, so it's just tier 2 beaver and tier 2 scarecrow tomorrow at about midday UTC, 12 o'clock midday UTC. Okay, in the future, is there a chance there will be a land ranking system according to level, NFTs, etc., etc.?
Yes, I guess that system already exists on Polygon Scan. It's almost a leaderboard of holders. I do know of a few developers who are building things like this right now. I think it'd be a very cool way to show off who's got the most sunflowers in a month, or who's been hoarding potatoes the most. I think there's some really cool leaderboards and special awards that we could give away to these people.
Okay, perfect. A few more questions. We're going to wrap it up in a minute. I know there's a lot, but we're gonna keep this on point. So, um, will you open the NFTs? Okay, so here we go. If somebody crafts an NFT and then they get banned or blacklisted, what happens to that NFT?
That is depending on the situation, I guess. If they, it'll be locked on their farm until further notice, I guess. Um, in these one-off occasions, I think that's it. It's kind of just like burnt ETH or burnt Bitcoin that someone sends to a bad address. It gets burnt. Um, if there's a lot of these items on a farm, I think that's a different story, and we'll have to address whether those go back into circulation or not.
If an item is in a burnt a blacklisted farm, will it still be counted as part of the total supply, or will it be removed?
Yeah, while it's sitting on that farm, it's still an NFT. It's just owned by an untouchable account.
Okay, all right, perfect. Um, okay, when is season two? So we've talked about this before, and just to clarify, in season one there are two stages. We are currently in season one. Season one will continue until we have the Goblin War. Then we will transition into season. Hold on, no, that's not right, is it? No, season one is until we mint animals. Sorry, I apologize. Season one is until we mint animals, and then we'll go into season two. This is all on the website, by the way. If you do go to Sunflowerland, uh, sunflower-land.com, you can read about this. There's a really good infographic. So, stage one, season one, that is when we're going to release animals. And then we'll move into stage two. So, stage two is still within season one. Okay, so stage one and stage two are in season one. And that ends at the Goblin War. Okay, so that's the kind of milestone that you're looking out for. A question I actually have on this, Adam, whilst we're here. Obviously, we've seen with the community that there's an incredible demand for an in game marketplace or an ability to trade NFTs. At the moment, the NFT trading house is in stage three in season two. Is that something that you're going to consider moving forward to meet the demand, or is that still going to stay where it is on the roadmap?
We'll stay where it is on the roadmap, and anything that is DEX or marketplace related, you need long audits. It's almost like finances are involved. A lot of assets are getting used in these exchanges, and they take months, if not years, to build those sort of things. And so, where possible, we're just going to use existing protocols out there, but we will white label them. And so, what we mean by white label is if we use QuickSwap, you might not have to leave the game to use QuickSwap. You will enter a pixelated house. You will see players shouting at each other with the different prices or the NFTs that they're offering. But it will appear and feel like you're doing it through the game. And so, where possible, this is what you want to do when you're building a decentralized or blockchain protocol: is start using the other protocols in the system. You don't have to rebuild everything from scratch, and that's the beauty of Web3.
So, just to clarify on that, the NFT trading house is in the future, but there will be an in game UI that will connect to these third party marketplaces so people can trade. Does that sound correct?
Yes. Yep.
Do you have a rough time frame? Are we talking weeks, months? Like how can people manage their expectations? But for those people that are desperate to degen and trade with each other, because we know that the
Mm.
P2P is something that's very sought after. I mean, we know there's discords and telegrams. We don't recommend and we don't endorse any of that at the moment because it's not technically safe. There's a lot of scams and challenges with it. But do you have a ballpark for when people can expect that in game?
In game will be months, I'd say.
Okay.
We will have for trading your crops and the other ERC20 like resources, which is quite tough on OpenSea when there's a floor,
Yes.
minimum $5 price. We'll be releasing some experimental contracts over the coming weeks that make those easy to trade, and you can start trading things like a box of sunflowers on QuickSwap. And so it's not exactly, for anyone familiar with a wrapped token, where we're going to be pursuing this concept of when you want to trade sunflowers, you need to move them into a sunflower box, and then that is actually tradable. Like you go into a farmer's market, you put your crops into a box, and then you can trade them on something like QuickSwap. And so we'll have a prototype in a few weeks around that. We've already seen there's some smart contracts which we can fork, and people that have already built some solutions which have already been audited, we can just deploy them ourselves and hook them up to our system.
I think that makes perfect sense. So I'm just looking through the rest of the questions, guys. Obviously, there's a lot there, but I'm conscious of time as well. I think for now, I think that pretty much covers everything. I think we've gone through everything. Anything that we do now is going to be kind of echoing what we've already talked about. The replay, again, it will be available. We'll get that posted on the YouTube channel, and I'll get that link shared as soon as possible. Do you have any final comments, thoughts, anything you want to add, Adam, whilst we've got you here? And again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I know you're busy, and so to have you is, we're very grateful. But yeah, any final remarks? Anything you want to add?
I think that's about it. I think a focus pre-launch is going to be on documentation and making sure everything's consistent. So everything we discussed today, we'll have a detailed guides. We'll have some videos around migrating, just to help everyone go through that.
Perfect. All right, so guys, wait for the docs. We will update them. We will keep you updated in the announcement channel for now. And just before we go, Adam, if you would be ever so kind just to pop over to the farmers chat very quickly, refresh your screen. And guys, can we just get some sunflowers? Can we just spam some sunflowers in the farmers chat just as a thank you? Or goblins, I don't want to give you a preference. Sunflowers or goblins, or if you're that way inclined, maybe some sunflowers and goblins. Team Sunflower,
Whoa.
Team Goblin. Let's show some love for Adam. All right, we've just had a solid hour and a half of content and alpha and clarification. Let's get some appreciation there. Wow. Wow.
Whoa, thank you very much, everyone.
I don't think I've ever seen the chat move that fast. Okay. There we go. That is incredible. Thank you so much, Adam. On behalf of everyone, really, really appreciate you and the team and everything that you're doing.
Likewise, Steve. Thanks for getting us on.
No worries. All right, back to work. Let's go. We'll speak to you soon.
See you, everyone. Have a good one.
Cheers, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.